Here's a look at some of the creepiest clown art the internet has to offer. What defines a creepy clown? Is it their cherry red nose, their gnarled teeth exposed by a sinister smile, or possibly their soul-snatching stare? Perhaps it's a combination of all three, as portrayed by our first disturbing portrait. This clown wastes no time in conveying just how creepy its kind can be, with teeth as jagged as a shark's, splotches of red makeup that may very well be the blood of its victims trickling down the crevices of its skin, and white, pea-sized pupils that, just like its head, eerily emerge from nothingness, ready to drag its next victim, you, the viewer, into the shadowy abyss, never to be heard from again. Our first creepy clown comes to us from the mind of an artist named Sonia, under her handle Sonia Art on Instagram, and boy what a mind it is. Hundreds of ghastly creations with an apparent focus on analog horror flood Sonia's Instagram account, and for this reason, it was incredibly hard choosing just one of her countless creepy clowns to feature on this list. However, the one she titled Slug Bite stuck out to me the most, as there's more to its craftsmanship than just being straight up nightmare fuel. Sonia was able to impressively depict the very definition of a creepy clown through nothing but minimal color usage and high contrast. The painting was completed using only 3 colors, 2 if you don't count the black that acts only as a background for the negative space, and it's through the layering and gradation of harsh whites and brilliant reds that gives the illusion that this terrifying clown, humorously named Pookie, may not even be living, but rather an apparition that haunts the local fairgrounds for all eternity and can never be stopped. For our second painting, you may be asking yourself, what could be scarier than a creepy clown? To which I would respond, an undead creepy clown. And while the previous clown was depicted with a flatter, more cartoonish painting style, the creepy factor of this clown is seemingly enhanced with its polar opposite execution. Its more realistic rendering makes it feel based in reality, as if it's something we could actually come face to face with on Halloween night. Not only that, but many of its unusual details make us just as curious as we are disturbed. Does the streak of blood across its forehead imply the clown is nothing but a Leatherface type skin mask worn by a killer with a vendetta against clowns? What should we make of its ping pong eyeballs, bulging yet with no pupils? And finally, the unspeakable occurrence happening within its mouth. This time, the clown's grimace doesn't greet us with razor-sharp teeth, but instead, dozens of tiny rancid bubbles, as if its teeth have been replaced by dozens of rotten fish eggs or a toxic, bubbling black saliva. It's as if the eeriness of this clown's disturbing features beckon us to take a closer look, which at the same time is the exact reason we need to steer far clear of it, for it'll want us to come closer, closer, and closer until we become its next victim. While Sonia's clown gave us the impression we were face to face with the ghost of a clown, it would appear artist Zach Dunn wanted his abomination to represent an actual evil spirit by titling his piece Ghost of Twisty. And while Pookie was portrayed through bold color usage but ultimately had a fictional feeling to it, Twisty may contain colors that aren't as exciting or eccentric, but its realistic rendering that teeters on the edge of Uncanny Valley more than makes up for it, making these two portraits drastically different but equally effective in their fear-mongering. And just as we saw with Sonia, Dunn is also no stranger to the horror genre, with literally hundreds, maybe even thousands, of highly detailed and impressive paintings on full display throughout his Instagram, Zach Dunn Art. From Beetlejuice to The Nightmare Before Christmas to originals, even putting his own scary spin on Batman, and, of course, no horror artist would be complete without their own array of creepy clowns. Although, to see some of these early works that were completed in 2015, you have to do a lot of scrolling if you want to see them all, and I mean over 3,000 posts worth of scrolling. While we question the torn skin and bubbling mouth of our previous clown, its face has nothing on that of our next one. With a mutilated face practically beyond recognition, this unfortunate soul practically had me feeling nauseous the longer I stared at it. From its bald head, with clumps of stringy hair clinging to life, to its rough beard and patchy neck stubble, as well as a deranged smirk and weary eyes, this clown, This being is perhaps the scariest portrait out of the three, for it makes me think of a mugshot of an incredibly dangerous, incredibly unstable individual who just committed a crime. And while it may not give off the same conventional clown vibes as the others, like not having a bright red nose and all, the suggestion of its white skin and eye and mouth makeup caused me to imagine this is a clown who just emerged from a scuffle, similar to the subway scene from the 2019 Joker film. This clown is essentially a distraught Arthur Fleck, but the question is, was this clown harmed or the cause of harm? And it's this line of thinking that grounds him the most in reality, making him perhaps the scariest of all the clowns featured. This clown's creator, German artist Juliane Hundermark, has used the power of art to fill our heads with these bizarre and imaginative scenarios surrounding her character, all from a still and fictional image. As shown throughout her vast portfolio on Instagram, her website, or even just Google Images, she has one of the most unique approaches to horror art I've ever seen by an artist, if that's what she even considers herself. From pool scenes, to dining rooms, even portraits, but it's her completely unorthodox and otherworldly rendering of her fictional subjects that makes our stomachs churn endlessly. The only way I can begin to describe her style would be if David Cronenberg directed a movie based on the world of Dr. Seuss. So even if Hundermark never intended this man to reflect creepy clown culture, she somehow managed to conjure the perfect combination of frightful fiction while simultaneously grounding him in reality. And lastly, our final painted clown portrait brings us a return to the quintessential makings of a classic creepy clown, so much so that its over-the-top characteristics are fiercely competing against one another for your attention. From its wide open lips that greet you with a psychotic smile, to its rather small but still noticeable red-tipped nose, and, most obviously, its bulging bug eyes of planetary proportions, practically as big as its mouth, completed with blue highlights that provide a stark contrast against its chalky white skin. And its broad and impressionistic brushstrokes only help to accentuate the terrifyingly overzealous expression this creepy clown exudes. Its in-your-face composition makes us feel as though we're the Big Mac Ronald McDonald is about to sink his fangs into. But for as creepy as this clown is, just like the others, at least he's not real, is what I'd like to say, as no amount of creepy clown portraits could have prepared me for the piece of art I'm about to reveal. As the giant signature in the bottom right corner suggests, this final creepy clown portrait was painted by Lisa Libby, an American portraitist based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And while she appears to have just as keen an interest in unsettling horror subjects as our other three artists have, she is perhaps the only one whose portraits lean the most towards people grounded in reality, albeit in a very stylistic way. Regardless, her painting, simply titled Freaky Clown Portrait, was the first creepy clown portrait I stumbled upon that I decided I wanted to include in this video. So, as I sought out other viable contenders online, I used Libby's painting as the basis for my search, plugging it into various reverse image search engines, but little did I know I would come face to face with the creepiest clown in the history of mankind. As you can imagine, I was caught completely off guard, initially from the unspeakable nightmare fuel that, fortunately, remained safely on the other side of my computer screen. But the more I gazed into its ungazable eyes, something else caught me off guard. Its identical resemblance to Libby's portrait, which is likely the reason it was suggested amidst the search results in the first place. And the further I looked into this piece of art, the more confusing it became. This piece links to a surprisingly sold-out Etsy listing, not of a creepy clown painting, but of a creepy clown face adhered to the body of a dollar store monkey. Neon pink horror goth stuffed clown doll horror monkey handmade 2022. Sold not by Lisa Libby in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but by a Virtue Goods, who are located in Seattle, Washington. While I initially jumped to the conclusion that the likeness of this creepy sculpture was stolen from Libby's painting, there's evidence that could make it likely this is also Libby's piece as well. The description of the listing does state, this piece was made by a contemporary sculptor who partners with this shop. And while Libby primarily identifies herself as a painter and not a sculptor, remnants of 3D work can be found peppered throughout her Instagram account, so it's very likely her dabbling in sculpture led to the creation of this monstrosity, despite her and the shop being located on opposite coasts of the country. However, something that is interesting to note is that while Libby's creepy clown painting was documented on Instagram in 2023, this creepy clown thing is clearly stated as 2022. But after scouring her Instagram content all the way back to as early as 2018, I never stumbled upon any posts from around 2022 that included the Etsy clown. Of course, it's likely she simply never made a post featuring the product, but I'm not sure why she wouldn't have wanted to. But lastly, this monkey's got me looking at the painting itself from a whole new perspective. Perhaps what was once interpreted as red frizzy clown hair and a yellow neck accessory is actually a slight recolor of the monkey's pink fuzzy head and red ribbon sewn to its chest. I'm unsure why Libby would have decided on a recolor, but red hair and yellow clothing are definitely more reflective of a clown outfit's natural colors. Or perhaps, the ultimate conspiracy, Libby actually made her 2023 painting based off this 2022 decoration and purposely changed the colors to avoid plagiarism and make it slightly more her own. As one of the most iconic symbols of Halloween, it's apparent the legacy of creepy clowns don't exist solely in cinema, costumes, decor, or even in our nightmares, but manifest themselves through the unsettling minds of talented artists, whether we asked for it or not.